How many students do you talk to on a daily basis right now?
Well, I don't really, I mean, I have a clerical staff that handles all the calls that come in for our tutoring. So that's what I'm in charge of. I'm in charge of the tutorial center.
Okay.
And also we have a room that we're controlling. We're not advertising that too much. But I controlled that right now with students with equipment and things like that, but that's not available to everyone right now.
Okay.
So I don't answer a lot of questions like I would normally do face to face. Face to face, I'd be there with the students and interacting. The different role now is that I have to. Usually, I'll go in and attend a Zoom room with my tutors to see what's going on and how that's being conducted. It's a little bit harder security with being on a Zoom and those kinds of things. So now I have to, instead of being face to face with my tutors and students and interacting with those questions, I have to actually go in on their Zoom sessions and do that. Laptop, essential things to be learning. So our college is trying to do help with that, in which you can go through the library to get some of those things and sign up for, laptops and hotspots and those kinds of things. That's mostly what I hear is students really do prefer face-to-face as opposed to Zoom and distance ed.
Yeah, I definitely
That's
prefer in-person talking because I think it's much easier, and
yes.
the technology it just makes it harder to talk to people. I don't know why. It's like mostly a process. You have to find the time, you have to get the link, and most people don't know how to do it, especially some students who don't even have the technology.
It also
Correct.
makes it very hard to communicate properly with your teachers and express your needs to the teacher via technology. I think that's also very difficult for students right now.
Yes, and I think it's probably fair to say that teachers have a lot more to do, a lot more work to do with being distance ed. I know, on the college, we've had some professors that have taught distance ed for a while and they're comfortable with it. But I could tell you the majority, based on a survey, I guess that was done back in the spring, none of us signed up for this. And a lot of them didn't have the experience. I know with us, tutorial, we'd never been online. It's not that we hadn't talked about maybe offering that for students who did do distance ed, who didn't want to come in, but we hadn't really reached that point yet. But in March, we were forced to do that, and we were forced to get on MyWC, which is a platform we use for our tutoring, in 3 days. Literally 3 days. We had 3 days to get our tutors up online and get everything ready. And we really didn't see the students, the drop off for appointment, people visiting our center just went to nothing. Because I think people were struggling. We were home. We were in our houses. We didn't know what to do. This was all new. We were locked down. I mean, it was just a lot mentally to grasp,
The
as well as
process.
trying to get your class and process your classes. For me, it was very hard for me. I knew none of the technology. I had just literally bought my laptop because I kind of saw this coming, and I told my husband, I said, I think I really need to buy a laptop. I said, regardless, I'm going to be retiring here in about another year. I'll need a laptop to work whatever I need to do. And so I had bought my laptop the weekend before we went remote. I had never worked on a laptop. So for me to have to learn to work on a laptop and do all these things as a classified person was very difficult for me. That's not my area. I mean, I didn't grow up with computers. We grew up with typewriters and things like that. So I share that story with people who really have a struggle with this, because I say, I have a struggle with it, so please don't feel bad that you're having a struggle with it, because we all are in this together, and it's all very difficult, and we're all learning through this process. I'm sure once this pandemic will probably never really come to a full end. I mean, we may get a vaccine or whatever, but our world will definitely change. And whether we'll be doing more remote as opposed to face, I don't know. At first I was like, yeah, can we offer some face-to-face tutoring and then have some, hybrid type stuff? And it was like, no, for safety wise. So I don't know where we'll be at in the spring. I don't think anybody really knows about what we're going to be at in the spring.
Okay. Yeah, I was also gonna question about spring, but I guess that's really hard considering that all the confusion. Uh,
It is because I think we have to go off the governor's regulations and all, and based on that and how our numbers are with positive COVIDs and whatever. And I think that's what we're basing a lot of it off of. Not only our college students, like my granddaughter, I was just saying, was here, she went home because she was sick, but she is, fifth grade. She's actually acclimated pretty well to it. She's computer savvy and she's used to being on a computer and that kind of stuff. And her household, however, on the flip side of that, I have younger grandchildren one was in kindergarten when we went remote, and she went from like a straight A student to like bad. She just could not handle the distance learning. So I think, again, it depends on the person, but if I was to wrap my head around it, I think people still need that hands-on touch thing. Okay, even when you go in a math lab, okay, it's a hands-on thing. You want somebody to be there to say, you're okay, you're doing okay, you're on the right track, right? Zoom helps a little bit with that, but it's still not that
it loses the
hands-on
human.
touch.
It loses the human experience.
Yes, and I think that's where even our grammar school right now are really hurting because of that. They are not able to be with their friends and do those kinds of things that, when they're young, they're building all that up. So I really can see an impact on them as well. As even though they're very young, I still see an impact on them as well. Um, So, I've been at the college for 20 years and I've seen a lot of change, but I've never been through a pandemic like this, and I've never been through this quite of change in the world. We in the Tutorial Educational Support Services, which is tutoring, writing center, math lab, tutorial, language center, we have been trying to promote as much as we can to the students to use our services. We in our department are pretty busy with the chemistries. Students are really starting to take advantage of that. Other areas, not so much. I mean, if we were face to face, our math lab probably right now would be packed out. And when I go to their schedules, I don't really see a whole lot of people booking appointments. Again, I think people are hesitant. They're not sure how to go about this, and so I really think more students could benefit if they would just reach out and try to do that, right? They're afraid. But what we find is once they get connected with us and they like what they're experiencing, they do keep coming back, repeated appointments, And I've saw this with one student. I think he passed on the information to his classmates because now we're seeing more people come in for physics than we did a day or two ago. So I don't think we're being utilized as much as we could be, but I don't know if it's because when students see, like, I know we do promoting on Instagram and Facebook, and I think our pool from those areas is very small as far as students being connected in those areas. So, and I don't know about you guys, but I see so much, I'm on Zoom so much, and I see so much emails and whatever. I'm bombarded half the time. I'm just like, I don't want to
Yeah,
deal with another email, another Zoom meeting,
so many
whatever.
emails.
Yeah,
So
it's
many.
it's overwhelming, and so I think we miss things when that is because we go, oh, I don't want to see another one of those meetings, or or whatever.
And some of
Um,
those emails aren't really that important. They're mostly just alerts on the campus from the police, or
right.
just something not really that important to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know in our department we've been doing open houses, inviting students. We tell
Mhm.
the teachers, we put it out. We try to to introduce ourselves and to get it out there to you guys. We have great services. We have a lot of resources for that. You know, Writing Center has a lot of tutors. I don't have near the tutors I normally have. In my whole 20 years, it's probably the least amount of tutors I've had in a semester, honestly. When I asked for names from teachers, hey, can you give me a name for somebody who might want a tutor? I got one or two. That was it, right? They just didn't want to do that. So if we were face to face, I'd say to the students, hey, you know, get a study group, come on in, you know, you can maybe use our room or a table, and, you know, you can come on in here. It's probably not that easy. I mean, you know, you can do a Zoom room and do breakout rooms and whatever, but it's still not the same as that human connection.
Yeah.
Period. So I think that's the big thing, I think, is the human connection. We are losing that, and people need that connection.